Great Mother, send us your voice, teach us to say, show us how we're to live, to walk a medicine way. Way, oh, hey, hey, oh, way, nay, hey, hey, oh. Father Light, send us your voice, teach us what we're to say, show us to live, to walk a medicine way. Way, oh, hey, hey, oh, way, nay, hey, hey, oh. Oh. So I'll begin with the prayer. Oh, great, great Mother, birther of us all, Father Light, you who give us life. We are so grateful for this good day. We remember ourselves as one family, as one being. With love in our hearts, we walk forward this day to create more and more beauty, more and more harmony. More and more, Creator, we wish to live the truth of who we are, this one family of life, this great beauty, this kindness, this caring, this cooperation, this sweetness. And so we give thanks this day for our lives and the opportunity to walk forward in this good and beautiful way. Ho, mitakoyasin, all my relations.
Aho. Thank you. That was beautiful. So for everyone listening, I want to introduce you to Brooke Medicine Eagle. She is a legendary earth keeper, wisdom teacher, mentor, healer, visionary, singer-songwriter, shamanic practitioner, catalyst for wholeness, and sacred ecologist. She is the best-selling author of the Native American literary classic, Buffalo Woman Comes Singing, and of The Last Ghost Dance. Her individual and group work is empowering, enlightening, and supportive of your very best self. Over the last 35 years, her many music recordings, teachings, writings, conference appearances, and wilderness spiritual retreats have touched the hearts and minds of people all over the world. Blossoming into Harmony, the primary ongoing resonance of her work, promotes a heart-centered, ecologically sound, healing way for the flowering of individuals, Mother Earth, and all our relations through expression of the deep feminine. She is now traveling and teaching internationally, enjoying the experience of being a world citizen. Welcome, Brooke. Thank you so much for being a part of Embracing Radical Change.
Thank you very much. I'm really thrilled to be talking with you because radical change is absolutely what we need right now.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm so excited about your topic today, the beginning of everything, wisdom of the deep feminine. So could we begin by asking you to share, what is it that you mean by the deep feminine?
Well, I would like to take us on a journey to give you an experience, if possible, of the deep feminine.
Absolutely.
So if you will, close your eyes. And let's go back. It's hard in English in a way to go back to the beginning because in the beginning there was no thing, there was nothing. So we have to use some words for it. But let yourself move back and back and back to the very, very beginning, before there was anything. There was the deep, deep, dark, rich, full womb of the feminine. In that deep womb, all potentiality existed, but nothing had become solid, real as we think of it. I sometimes think of it as white buffalo woman's womb. And when I look up into a starry night where there's no moon, we see pinpoint after pinpoint after pinpoint of light. And we know from our modern science that that light, that sparkle, that starlight, those planets, that universe goes on and on and on, billions and billions and billions of light years without end as we know it. And so I think of that bowl, that huge, deep, full, amazing bowl as the bowl of the feminine. All of that existed, all of that was there, but not manifest. So that was the very, very beginning. In Lakota terms, I believe they would call that Wakan. Wakan, the great womb of the feminine, the beginning of all things. And then through her amazing magic, the deep feminine brought forward light, and Skan, the masculine, like a lightning strike, reached in, touched one of those stars, one of those lights, and brought it forward into the world, into manifest reality. And then more and more and more things became real. And out of the womb of the deep feminine came life, came all of life. The richness we see around us, the beauty we were given on this Mother Earth, all that exists in that starry sky, every tiny detail. Walking on the land, I see the teeny tiniest flowers, exquisitely beautiful. Every bit of that came out of the womb of the deep feminine. And the thing that's important is to know that you were birthed by the love of that great mother, that divine feminine mother. You were given life. And one of the other things to remember is that you were made in the image of that great life, creative, loving, powerful, connected. And so as we come back to this moment, see if you can carry with you that sense of the depth, the richness, the wholeness, the oneness of everything that is held in that great womb. So does that explain it a bit?
Yes, yes. And as you described that, I could really feel it in my core. It was if I could feel it in my womb, the idea of the womb of all creation. And I love that imagery of the feminine as the mystery, the darkness from which all things have sprung forth. Yes. So why is it important to go back to the very beginning to inform us for where we are now?
Well, as you and I have spoken, one of the things that is so clear to us now, and you in your wonderful way have picked up on that, we really need radical change. And that, to me, one of the most powerful of those radical changes is to understand and begin to experience that we are, in fact, one great family. There is no separation. Even modern science is expressing the same thing that White Buffalo Woman expressed in her holy ways, which is about wholeness, oneness, unity, connection, that we, in fact, are all connected. We're in this unified field. And fascinatingly enough, it seems that all the molecules communicate with each other. It doesn't matter what they are, whether they're our human heart or a star or a buffalo or a piece of grass or a flower. We're all connected. And I think it's an enormous leap. I'm really working with this myself right now. And our human minds have a really difficult time with this. It just doesn't make sense in the way our minds are structured. So a part of what we need to do, in a sense, is drop into our heart. Our heart is where that understanding is. And of course, once again, modern science, heart math, and all these wonderful folks that are doing work really are pointing now to the power, that the heart, the brain, actually, that is the heart, is in a sense more powerful. It gives more messages to our brain here than our brain gives to the heart. So it really is becoming obvious that it's central to us. I wear something I want you to see, which is made by a beautiful native man. And it's that shell in the center and the radiance around it as a representation of that great feminine. Those cowrie shells have always represented the feminine. And that feminine heart, when we think of a mother at the most ideal, that mother is so loving, and she's loving not just of one child, but of all children of her own, and very likely embraces and loves all children. And so that loving creation is what's so vital for us. When I spent time with the Cheyenne medicine woman that I studied with early in my life, I spent time with the sacred buffalo hat. And the sacred buffalo hat was a buffalo skull and horns that had been held by the Cheyenne people and still is, but down through long time. And that buffalo hat represents the nurturing and renewing power of the feminine. And so that nurturing and renewing of life is what we're being called to, rather than the kind of destruction and damage that we're seeing. And we're right now, politically, socially, economically, in a time when that is just being shoved in our faces so powerfully that we cannot pretend it isn't happening. And so our response to that, the love, the connection, kindness, cooperation, sharing, respect, honoring, is demanded of us, to step forward in that way and represent our real, true humanity. So it's a very exciting time. It's a very intense time. So mind-blowing. And when I see what's happening, I'm stunned, because I've been teaching all my life about the Great Awakening, this new time that's coming, this golden, radiant, joyful, harmonious time. And when I see what's happening day to day now, I'm just kind of heartbroken by it. I'm just stunned by it. And the only way that I'm able, in a sense, to function with that is what my great teachers talk about, which is that we are in the time of the rising feminine, the deep, deep, rich feminine, that deep womb of life. I like to think of it as, many of you may know the Venus of Willendorf goddess figures. They're wonderful, big-breasted, round, big mama kind of energy. And I like to think of that like a beautiful earth red, wonderful, amazing, huge energy literally coming up out of the ground where it has been quiet and depressed, held down, that it's rising and rising. And what's happening as that feminine rises is it's pushing up above it. It's lifting up and pushing up to be seen all the darkness. Because as we come into this new time, we can no longer hide the darkness. We have to clear it. So seeing all of it is very, very difficult. It's very hard to see people being mean, unkind, just awful.
And to
so
feel
many ways.
to stop it.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I just want to encourage everyone to realize that that's what's happening. It's coming up for us to see. We can't deny it. Some of it we feel in ourselves occasionally. It's like, whoa, golly, but to see it and then choose, the spiritual warrior chooses. And so the important thing in our time is to choose love, to choose to move from our heart, to choose to be kind. I love it. You know, I think the world is changing in Billings, Montana, which I never think of as at least in the past, the most enlightened town. In a shop, I see this thing that says, "Kind people are my kind of people," on a T-shirt. And a friend of mine was telling me about a new book called "Kind is the New Classy." And so we're really getting the message that it's about connecting, remembering our oneness with things. An old teacher of mine used to say, "Honey, you don't have to like them, you just need to love them." So it's not that we need to like or condone any of this. We just need to put love into it, because love is the great transformer. And that's the other radical transformation, I think, is for us to learn how to carry that love. But I want to stay with the divine feminine and my experience of that.
Yes, yes. Yes, and I want to just pull out a little bit of what you said there. Well, so much of what you've just said, and I just want to highlight that I think it's so important to recognize that we have this tremendous potential as humans to create an energetic shift that can overcome all of this, right? That can take us into the brighter future that we wish to create, right? That can leave all of this behind, but we need to each be doing that individual work, and that, being kind to one another, and really coming to things from our heart. That we each have such an important role to play. I mentioned powerlessness because I think we can get lost in that when we're hearing the news every day and feeling like we're helpless. But we each have so much power, each in our own lives, just to create our lives in a way where we're bringing that positive energy forward, doing things from the heart, and that is what's going to change everything.
Yes, and we have power with our individual acts and words and touch day to day. We have power with our money, where we spend our dollars, what we're willing to support. We have money with our vote. I mean, we have power with our vote. And I hope that, more and more and more people step forward and, in that arena, that we really take advantage of the fact that we have the ability to vote and choose. And that's really so exciting, because what's really happening now is that we are becoming fully human. We have the opportunity to become fully human, and fully human people are guided by their heart. And of course, the heart is where I believe the heart is the intelligence through which we connect with everything. And I'm really learning that in a wonderful way for me. I have the opportunity to go back to my home ranch. I'm going to be traveling in Europe for 4.5 months, and then down south and into Mexico for some months of the winter. But when I come back, I'll be living at home on the home ranch, our old home ranch, which is now included in the larger ranch called Sacred Ground International. My friend Tana Whitemore holds that, and we have a buffalo herd there that is an incredible teacher for all of us. And day to day there is so magical. And the place itself, I have to say, is magical because it has these crystal mountains. The understructure of the mountains is crystalline, and I think of it like Machu Picchu. It has that kind of magical energy. The water that comes around off of those crystals, spring after spring after spring, springing literally out of that mountain. That water is very healing. It has an extra oxygen molecule. It comes off of those crystal beds and just makes everything green and radiant there. And it's very healing. And so I think of it like Lourdes. It's this incredible water. And I also think in those crystal pyramids that are under those big mountains, it makes me think of Giza. So there's this magic there that we hope to share in more and more ways. But one of the things that has gone on there is that Tana over the years has, from the gift of some buffalo early in her stay there 20 or so years ago, she has built a buffalo herd. And I'd like to tell you that story because I believe it illustrates, it's an intense story. In some ways it's challenging to listen to, but I think it's so important because one of the things that is true about us, it's this interesting double-edged sword, because love, caring, respect, and honoring are the way we walk forward in the world. And yet, what's fascinating, Wendell Berry said something like, in order to live, we literally break the body and, spill the blood of our fellow creatures, whether it's pulling a carrot and ripping the top off and eating it, or whether it's an animal, or whether it's microbes eating something else. It seems that our world is made of, we sort of eat each other, we nourish each other, we give ourselves to each other. So the giving of ourselves to each other is the way of this world. And what Wendell Berry says is that seems to be the way it is, that sort of breaking of the body and the taking, the sharing that way. And if we do it with respect and honoring and caring and in a sacred manner, then it's a sacrament. But if we do it in a destructive, destroying, who cares, just kill it, a demeaning, dishonoring way, then it's a sacrilege. It's just not all right. And I know that many people that I speak to really aren't so much against eating meat, but they are very much against, in a very good and conscious way, the way we handle the things that we consume. And so more and more and more, we're learning to respect not only the animals who give their life for us, but like whether we pick an herb in the wild, whether we grow a garden and pull up these beautiful beets, it's respect and honoring for the gift that we're given is so important. And that is carried to a very amazing sacred experience there at Sacred Ground. I want to tell you about the sacred hunts that we do. Tana, for many years, she had those buffalo and they've always been special. And the first ones were like pets almost. And then it went on and there are more and more and more. And now there are 160 or more, 40 new baby calves this spring. And so she would absolutely not allow them to be touched. Absolutely. She didn't use their meat. No one was allowed to do that. But over the years, and she spent her life, she worked awfully hard. In the beginning, because the pastures had been grazed down and were in bad shape when she took over the place from her elder family, she had to feed them hay. She had to buy some hay. She had to fix fences. She had to make buffalo fences. Those 8-foot fences cost like $2,000 a mile. And there are 3,500 acres there. So she put her life energy. Sometimes she didn't have what she needed in order to give the buffalo what they needed. So over time, she developed a deep communion with them as well as the land there. And finally, when she was willing to listen, although she didn't really want to, the buffalo said to her, "You must receive back from us at the same level you have given to us. This is not fair. It's not workable. It isn't a workable. There's no exchange here. We're not giving back. Of course you love us. You love seeing us. You love our freedom. You love the beauty of us. It's just radiant to see them back there on the land." And they work they've recreated springs. They've called up the grass is beautiful. They know how to live on that land to make it beautiful. And now she hardly has to feed hay because they have created such beauty there. So there's all of these things they're gifting back at so many levels. But they said, need to harvest, some of us. You need to do that. We want to feed you and we want to feed others. This absolutely radiant body of ourselves. There's no pollution there. There's no spraying of chemicals. There's this pure radiant water they're drinking. It's some of the most radiant, in a way, the most radiant bodies I know in the world are those raised there. Just amazing. So, as much as she didn't want to, her spirit said to her, you know, they're right. It needs to happen. So then she thought, how do I do that? And she said, the only way I will do that is in the old way, the way the old ones did it. And in the old way, what's done is that before a hunt, ceremony is done. And using the principle that we're all connected, all molecules, all people, all beings are connected. What's done is a prayer is done. Sacred tobacco, water, fire, all of these things come together with the hunter, a single hunter in this case, saying a prayer and asking with honor and heartfulness and respect, asking that someone, a buffalo, step forward so that they might take that. And they pledge to use, whether they use all the meat and bone and hooves and all of the robes and things, they pledge that that will be given to those who will need it. So they go into ceremony and they get this talk about the oneness and wholeness, and they come out of there very humble and quiet. And many of these are kind of big hunters, you know, that we think of as masculine, and we have kind of a negative sense. Many of these people are very loving toward the life that they take and very honoring of it. But when they come out of that ceremony, they are very humble. And what she says to them, I'm giving you the theory of all of this, but you're going to see it in action. You're calling up, you're inviting, you are calling to yourself an individual buffalo to give themselves to you freely. This is not a hunt in the way you normally think of it. It's a giveaway. The buffalo are known as the giveaway people. They give their whole life, their hide, their horns. They give us food. They give us shelter. They give us so much. And they give us spirit. Spirit moves through their bodies into the world. So this is a giveaway ceremony. So the guys go up on the hill, and with them are sharpshooters, because they want to make sure that nothing happens, that anyone is injured or anything. It needs to be clean and clear and quick. So they go up on the hill and they sit somewhere near the buffalo. The herds usually stay together and they're grazing and peaceful. And they go up, they're used to people being around, and they sit. And Dawn, the one who leads the whole process, says to them, do not do anything until I tell you to. So they sit and they wait, and they're going, okay, whatever. And pretty soon, before long, stepping out of the herd toward them, often standing on a little rise relatively near them, comes a single buffalo. Don says, just hold still. And the only way that they can be taken is a shot that goes right into the back of their head, and they're down very quickly, and it's all very clean. So he says, you just wait. He said, be ready, breathe deeply and be ready. And there comes a moment, he said, what they say is that the buffalo looks around this beautiful land they live on, and it's like they're saying, wow, look at this beauty, and they're honoring and being grateful for the opportunity to be in this pure, beautiful, incredible place. And they look around for a while, and then they grow very quiet. And then the piece that blows everyone away, they literally turn and open their head to the hunter. And Don says, now. And they go down. Well, by that time, everyone's crying. The hunters are blown away that this being has come and offered itself just exactly like they were told. They have heard, the herd has heard the call, and they are willing to give away. And one individual steps forward and says, yes, I will do this. And so they wait, and out of the herd come the family of that buffalo. And they walk up onto the hillside and around that buffalo who's just quiet down on the ground. And they stand and they sniff a bit, and it's just like they're honoring and saying, okay, all right, we honor you and we say goodbye to you. And then they leave. They go back to the herd, and the whole herd is quiet. There's no upset. There's no upset. And then the hunters go and they offer tobacco. They give their thanks. Many, many tears are shed on those buffalo when these men feel in their heart what happened and the beauty of what just happened. And so then they very quickly take the buffalo. They have a way to just put it on the truck and away they go. And that buffalo then is taken and all parts of it are used. And the robe, everything is used in a sacred and good way. And as I say to people, that is the best meat in the world. And by the way, one of the things that can be done, if there are not hunters in your family, you can get a group of people together and buy a buffalo, and the hunters, Don and the sharpshooters, will take them for you and send you the meat. So it's really, if you want to eat well and eat with honor, eat with a, and what we've been told is not only does the meat nourish you, it's healing. It absolutely heals your body because of the power of what has happened and the beauty of what is there in their body, the natural, fresh, free, beautiful life.
Thank you so much for sharing that story and for letting us have this glimpse into what more is possible. You know, when we step into this space of being truly interconnected with one another, what is really possible for us.
You know, and to really get that we are connected, that we are so connected. You know, another little quick story I like to tell is that when Native people, they didn't cut down trees very often. And in the tradition we have at home, when the Sundance tree, which is a renewal ceremony that's done in the summertime, a prayer ceremony, a dance, a tree is taken that has a fork that represents the male, the female, many different things. And the way that's done, they just don't go out and hack one down and haul it off. The way it's done is that 4 young girls, pristine, young, sweet children, really, they strike the first blows. They take an axe and strike and strike and strike the first blows, so that innocence and purity is what begins the process. And then with respect and honoring, they take that tree down, and with absolute love, they carry it and make it the central tree that represents the tree of life. And you know, the women to gather wood, you know, they go out and gather. You see those pictures of the Indian women with all those sticks and stuff. You know, that's what they gathered for their wood. They didn't chop down trees disrespectfully or otherwise. You know, they lived in a kind of harmony that made things really beautiful. So that way of being is what we need to step back into. And the reason that I like to do that meditation with the deep feminine in the beginning is that, you know, to find in ourselves a feeling of that connection, that I was created. I am a holographic image of that great creation, that great creator, that great womb of life and the light that sprung forth. And so is everything else. And everything I interact with, I can interact with that kind of honoring and remembering of ourselves as one family, one connection, as one being. White Buffalo Woman says, whatever you do to any other thing or being, you do to yourself, for you are one being. And as we find that in ourselves, and it takes some doing, coming out of this sort of the destructive masculine, not the positive, loving, fathering, caring, providing, nurturing masculine, but the destructive masculine that has stepped forward. As we come out of that into this loving, nurturing, renewing feminine place, we will transform our world in a radical way. And I don't think it will take that long as we remember ourselves as those who care for others. And I think men are going to absolutely love this new time of the feminine, because they love to compete, and that's part of the masculine energy, but they'll be able to do that in joyous ways, like who can offer the most, who can give the most, who can bring the most beauty forward, who can take care of things the best, and get such joy from that, and not have the terrible pressure and bad karma, you might say, of destroying things. And the principle of the deep feminine is about nurturing and renewing life, starting with the women and children, little babies. That's where it begins, is taking care of that human life. But it's not about women. It's not about even women and children. It's about the nurturing and renewing of everyone, men, women, children, flowers, plants, earth, buffalo, life, all of life. Neil Donald Walsh said something wonderful in one of his books called Tomorrow's God. He said, you know what? He said, just substitute the word life for God. Because I think when we say God or goddess, great mother, great feminine, we think of a person. And that sense of saying, no, it's life. Life is not a thing. Life is this mysterious, ongoing, never ending mystery. And we're a part of it. It lives in us. Then we start to see things a bit differently, or be able to feel them differently. And so our devotion to life itself, remembering ourselves as one with that, and that the way we interact with that in ways that serve, that bring us what we need, that nurture us and others, is through our hearts. To me, those are the two principles. White Buffalo Woman's holiness. We are one whole being, honoring and respecting and loving each other. And then the other principle, the Dawn Star, the Christ Lights principle of love as the great connection, bonding, communication, transformation.
Beautiful. Yes. And the way that you describe that, and that idea of life as this mysterious creative force, it just brings in a feeling of sacredness for each and every one of us, that each and every one of us are sacred because we're a part of that. I think we tend to forget that. So important to remember.
Yeah. White Buffalo Woman says, I walk forward in a sacred manner, remembering that not only the children of today are our family, the children of all life are our family, but the children 7 generations down. Our decisions need to reflect. That's an old principle that comes from Native people, and that what we do must reflect well on all of those generations, that we need to leave a legacy. We need to leave life beautiful, even better than we found it. And that is such a gift to our children. And I wanted to mention something here that I think is wonderful. I was listening to the wonderful teacher Bruce Lipton, who talks about the molecules and all of the beauty that he expresses. And he was talking about something a little different than he sometimes speaks of. And he reminded me of a lot of us know that the American political setup comes from the Iroquois Nation, that they had this, the two different houses and all of that kind of thing, the checks and balances and all of that, and that we adopted that. And he said, we forgot one thing. And I loved hearing this because I hadn't known it. He said, the one thing that was not instituted was that the, quote, Senate was the grandmothers. The older, wise women were one body of that governing. And so that, and it's really beginning to happen. I want to say, you wonderful women out there, that we are the foremothers of this time of the feminine. How we act, who we are, is the beginning of it, the reawakening of it. So from about 1993, 1995, the Native American elders and primary people all around the world in spiritual traditions offered the wands of power to the grandmothers. And they said, it is now the time of the feminine. It is your time. And so there's been an acknowledgement of that great feminine. And I feel really hopeful in the sense that if we've only had the wands of power for, and we haven't even known it, most of us yet, mm-hmm. If we've only had those wands of power for, what would that be, 20 years or so? We're doing pretty well, I think, because I see women stepping forward, grandmother circles stepping forward, saying, okay, we've retired, but now what do we do? We, in the tradition that is the tradition down through time and all people, is that the grandmothers step forward to take care of all life. And so with wonderful resources and wisdom and knowledge and love and caring, grandmothers are stepping forward. Women of resource and wisdom are stepping forward to work together. Women in corporations are beginning to realize that working together, caring for, nurturing, is the way to have their companies prosper. I was looking at an investment not long ago on that, an East Indian fellow had made quite a bit of money. And so he said to himself, what could I do? What kind of a business could I create that would serve the world, that would look into the future in a good way? So this man wanted to make a company that would serve and would provide a good income for people who wanted to be involved. Very masculine qualities, the really positive masculine. So he decided to create a business using garbage to make energy. Because our, quote, lack of energy is what we keep running into. And so he's using this incredible process to take the garbage, and it's starting to happen all over the world, taking that garbage and realizing we can turn it into energy. Wow. And using the compostable garbage to really nurture the earth. Mm-hmm. So there are all these things happening. There's so much beauty.
Yes.
And yes. I often say, when we kind of take the oily scum, that petroleum pharmaceutical industry sort of scum off of things, arising will be all of these inventions and possibilities and free energy and things that nurture, things that take care of, things that empower, things that use the energy we've been given, the light, the magnetism, the power of the waves. There's so much. And once we can clear away what's holding us down, you might say, inside ourselves and outside ourselves, I believe there will be a blossoming that's just amazing. And so each of us individually are the ones that do that. For years and years, I have been told it's not about having to figure out anything. It's clearing away the old, clearing away what doesn't work. One of the challenging things is clearing away the feeling we've been taught, the experiences we've had, that we think of ourselves as separate or different. Yeah, we're different, but we're not separate. But all of that mind stuff, clearing that away. And I could do a quick exercise that I was given by Archangel Haniel. That's about clearing away the debris. Could we do that? It's quite quick.
Absolutely. I would love to. Yes.
All right, so close your eyes and hold your hands out in front of you, cupped side by side, and see in each of your palms a spinning diamond. This beautiful, radiant, spinning diamond. And allow those to spin there. And then notice that around you, in a kind of whirlwind, you might say, a gentle whirlwind, is a lot of debris. It's the old stuff, it's the negatives, it's the negative talk, it's beliefs. In your hands are these beautiful spinning diamonds, and around you, almost to me, when I see it, looks like little pieces of paper with all these sort of negative things, unhappinesses, beliefs in things that don't work, anything. You don't even have to name them, but just know that there's just a lot of old stuff that isn't very workable floating around you, spinning around you. And so then as you begin to close your palms together, kind of cupped and closing them together, those diamonds, a ball, every bit of that be, all of the old stuff that's unworkable, anything that's not useful, any of that swirling around you, it's now being pulled and pulled and pulled into a ball right in the midst of your hand. That ball of debris is held in your hand. Have the intent, get really clear, charge yourself up that I am letting go of this. I don't need it. It doesn't serve me. There it goes. Open your hands, and the angelic forces, the forces of life and good, draw that out and away from you. And almost instantaneously, what's sent back into your hands and you can cradle in your hands is this loving light, this nurturing, loving sweetness, and bring that and put it into your heart. Thank you for doing that with me.
Thank
and
you.
that kind of thing is a simple, but those kind of things are so powerful. And then day to day, I think it's so important for us to, when we're ready to react to something, sometimes we want to snap or be sharp or do something that isn't connected and respectful. If we just take that little moment, find that loving, clear part of ourselves, and maybe make it just that response just a little bit different, just a little bit different, to be willing to open and feel and hear and love. It doesn't cost anything. Creator pours love into our body, pours love into us. The great life itself is made of love. And so there's no lack of it. It's not like we have to find it out there or have one person give it to us or whatever. It's pouring. Who we are, our truly human selves, are made of love. As the Peruvians say, we are people made of honey. We are people made of honey and love. And so to offer that, to know that's who we are, and to know that it's plentiful. And the most fun thing in the world is to be in love, to feel love, to have love moving through your body, to just be joyous with that. And so we can send that love toward everything, toward each other, person on the street, the tree we're going by, anything, to send that kind of love and caring and have that be habitual. Pay attention, honor, respect. And when that's what fills our heart and mind as we drive along, maybe we won't be worrying about what's possible or thinking about the negative or bringing kind of things that aren't useful and helpful in creating our world. We create our world then from love and connection, and then it works.
Yes, yes.
So what I see for our future as humans is we will more and more do that because it feels good. You know, Creator made the good things feel good, even good chocolate. So, so which is a which stimulator and a heart supporter. I do ceremony with cacao. Mother cacao just wakes your heart up in this wonderful way. So what we have to look forward to is such beauty, such joy, such fulfillment, such nurturing for all of us. And every act we make is so important that way. So I highly recommend that maybe for even a few moments in the morning, you close your eyes and remember that great, deep womb of the feminine that you're embraced in and loved in, and so is everything and everyone else. And carry that forward into your day, knowing that you have that same love, that same ability to create in beauty, to care, to nurture. That's who you are. So to kind of touch that for a moment so that you can find that again and again in your day and walk forward in that kind of beauty.
Yes, thank you so much for these beautiful practices which we can use again and again. I love that. The one at the beginning and the one to clear away the debris and the dust and the negativity. It's really beautiful, and transform that into love. We that is deeply needed in our world, and just seems so it's like a microcosm of what we need to happen in the macro. And so by doing that, we can facilitate that change, I'm sure. So thank you. This has all been so wonderful. And thank you for sharing everything that you have here. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we close?
Well, I would love to sing a simple song. It's made of the syllables H, which is the breath of life. O, which is the holiness, the wholeness. L, the la, the L is about grounding it on the earth. And the A is about satisfaction and just the good things, that sweetness. And it's a simple chant I've been given. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. Ho, 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 la. And with that, remember forward in a sacred manner with love and wholeness, respect and honoring for all our relations. Ho, mitakriyasan.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you for all of this. So beautiful. So for everyone who's listening, I hope you've enjoyed this very deep sharing of wisdom from Brooke Medicine Eagle. And if you would like to connect with her or to learn more about her work, she is offering a free gift to all attendees of this event. And it is some songs and teachings that are relevant to what we've talked about here today. So if you just scroll down a little bit below this interview video, you will see the link to connect there. So thank you so much, Brooke. This has just been wonderful. I love spending this time with you. I learn so much every time, and I am so inspired by all that you've shared here. Thank you.
Well, you're doing wonderful work. I really appreciate what you're doing, and thank you very much.